Most football players eat healthy, but Messi's diet almost put his life in danger. When he showed up at Barcelona in 2003, he might have been a professional athlete, but he was still eating like a regular 18 years old kid.
Bad boys?
Healthy food wasn't even on his mind.
Come here, bobo.
We are talking about pizza, sweet, snack. Messi was hooked on junk, and as the time passed, his eating habit only got worse day by day. People around him even claimed that if anyone tried to serve Messi's fruits, veggies, or salad, he'd just get up and leave. And after training session or matches, instead of grabbing something healthy or even protein shake or something, he would go straight for fast food. That's what his body was running on. But the biggest problem of all was his Coca-Cola habit. It got to the point where Messi couldn't go a day without drinking soda. And the wild part, he was still turning into one of the best players on a planet. So who was gonna step in and tell him stop? Everyone just let him keep going until suddenly it became a real issue. Yeah, it reached a point where things were seriously going to downhill. Messi tried to hide it, but behind closed doors, he was struggling and ignoring warning signs. After years of not looking after his body, the effect started to hitting him hard. He was waking up feeling terrible almost every day. But when he suddenly got sick in the middle of matches and the whole world saw it, so that was it, exactly the wake-up call he needed. Not long after that, Messi finally sat down with his doctor and told him how out of control his eating habit had become, something worse every day. And right then, both Messi and medical team understood that if he didn't completely change the way he was fueling his body, his career and even his future were in serious danger. So Messi made a promise to turn things around, not just for himself, but for the people who supported him, and thankfully, he had the right team behind him. Barcelona coach even took action by getting rid of every vending machine at the training facility. Shortly after, Messi brought in a nutrition expert to help him stick to the proper diet, and once he fixed the way he ate, everything changed. The sickness stopped and his career jumped to even higher level.
Por lo mal que he comido durante muchos años, con 22, 23, 24 años, no sé.
Come cualquier cosa y ahora qué comes.
Y ahora como bien, como pescado, como carne, como ensalada, como verdura. La verdad que como de todo, pero ordenado y bien y...
Messi might have just changed my whole perspective, but as wild as his diet was, what Max Kruse was eating actually got him thrown away of football. You see, back in 2016, he had a rough patch while playing for Wolfsburg. It was one of the worst stretches of his entire career, and his coach was furious. Because it wasn't just his performance falling off, his whole personal life was collapsing. From getting caught up in a gambling problem to taking someone's phone and snapping picture of himself with it. Max was a mess. After that incident with the stolen phone, Max's coach had to reach his limit. He told Max he had one final chance to pull himself together, so you think Max would have chilled out, right? But the next time he showed up at training, it was almost like he wanted to get kicked out of the team. Because a few months earlier at the training camp, everyone was already worried about what he was eating. It wasn't just junk food, Max had his strange obsession. The guy literally refused to eat a meal unless it had Nutella on it. Man, every time Max showed up, he had a jar with him, so his teammates were forced to watch him put it everything. Eventually, they couldn't take it anymore and called him out. They told him straight up, nobody on the squad wanted to see that all day. At the start of the season, the whole team had agreed they were gonna lock in and become the best player of the team, which meant no junk food at all and definitely no weird chocolate obsession on the side. Even though the entire squad was locked in on becoming the great, Max still couldn't last a single day, actually not even one meal, without his Nutella fix. So when he rolled into the practice that morning already covering his breakfast with it, that was it. The moment his coach saw how out of control the habit had become, yeah, that was the breaking point. Wolfsburg finally decided it was the time to cut ties with Max, and they didn't just drop him from the squad over his obsession, they also slapped him with $28,000 fine. Now sure, that's not a huge lesson to pull him away from the goofy addiction like that, but Sergio Ramos' diet story, that one can actually change your life. And it all goes back in 2003. You see, back then Ramos stepped into professional football as this quick, skinny 70 years old body. Nobody expected him to turn into the superstar anytime soon. Not even Ramos himself. But from that moment on, even though he swore he couldn't live without his late night McDonald's, he gave all that up so he could double his level on the pitch. And for the next 15 years, he locked in on a one single mission: improve every single season. Because of that mindset, he rebuilt his entire physique and went from being a skinny dude to one of the most shredded and iconic players on the sport that has ever seen. And it all came down to this secret formula. You see, during 2020 lockdown, Sergio Ramos made his biggest jump ever, and everyone was just asking the same thing. How did he go from looking like that to looking like this? Was he, nah, he did everything the right way. What really changed was Ramos finally getting off the couch and doing his own grocery runs. Since he was putting in extra hours and real effort, he made sure he was buying the kind of food that would turn him into something machine. So once he actually figured out what meals actually work for his body, it was game over for anyone who had to face him. Ramos locked himself into the true breakfast of the champions. 4 times a week he started his morning with a cup of coffee, straight black. After that, he loaded up whole grain bread with turkey, some eggs and fresh fruit. But come on, we are talking about Sergio Ramos. The guy is built different. 3 times a week, he tackles his toughest training session on the empty stomach, nothing in his system. But hey, he's not completely insane. He's still a human. So after all that putting in work, he lets himself enjoy with something. That's when he grabs his favorite recovery drink, strawberry protein shake. Of course, when it comes to the lunch and dinner, he keeps it simple: salad, fish, and good steak. But I'm not gonna lie to you, bro, even Ramos had his guilty pleasure. He cannot resist. A lot of people don't know this, but he's got one secret weakness. Something he hides in a cupboard. He likes it treated long and dark. You know exactly what I mean by that. Because about every 2 weeks, he just can't hold it back. He grabbed his phone and he only called one guy when things get serious. And no, I'm not talking about Diddy. I'm talking about chocolate, man. Wait, you really thought I meant something else? But you gotta touch some green. Honestly, you should have listened to Ramos from the start. Who knows, maybe I even drop a whole video about your ass turning into some football players. I don't mind putting you on a map. But now, the part everyone's been waiting for: Cristiano Ronaldo time. And sorry, I cannot scream anymore because my parents are sleeping right now, so I'm sorry if I'm slowing down my voice. Anyway, I'm trying to make it out of hood. They don't understand this, so I gotta be loud. Sorry, anyway. And trust me, what you are about to hear will make you rethink about everything you thought you know about nutrition. Just imagine being one of the people who used to doubt Cristiano Ronaldo. Because looking back now, man, they gotta feel embarrassed. But to be fair, during his teenage years and even early days, those weren't completely wrong. He really was that skinny kid from Portuguese who needed to put on some real size. Ronaldo understood that if he wanted to respect, or better yet, a shot at becoming one of the greatest ever, skinny wasn't gonna cut it. He had to lock in gym and overhaul his diet. And come on, this is Ronaldo we are talking about. Discipline is practically his superpower. So when he moved to Real Madrid in 2009, he hit the peak of his career. He took things to another level. Every time he ordered a steak at the restaurant, if there was even a hint of fat on it, man, he was this close to throwing hands with waiters. That's when Ronaldo finally said, forget it, I brought my own professional chef. almost 20 years later, he looks still like he can play like he is 20 years old.